There's trouble in paradise, folks, as the Express report that a civil war is breaking out within the Labour Party over Ed Miliband's Green Revolution and its eye-watering cost of £28 billion a year. Meanwhile, there are tensions over Starmer's Israel stance, trans rights and Labour's increasing caution in relation to public spending. Get used to this. A Labour government is coming, and that's fine. But it's my duty to tell you what to expect. Stifling political correctness, also called wokery, will reach new heights in the hands of a Prime Minister that's unwilling to define what a woman is and takes the knee to the latest divisive woke cause. Strikes we've suffered will get worse, given it's the union barons who bankroll the Labour Party. Borrowing and the national debt likely won't fall because the public sector will expect a cash bonanza when Labour get in. Why? Because those working in the public sector are Labour's electoral constituency. Taxes won't go down to any significant extent because Labour don't really believe in low taxes. And they like to mischaracterise low taxes as trickle-down economics, which is not true. In fact, given the state of the country at the moment, we're so broke, taxes will probably go up to fund Labour's policy ambitions. More spending and generous pay rises mean that inflation, currently in retreat, returns as a threat. And don't tell me that Brexit is safe in the hands of a man that campaigned for a second referendum. No government is perfect, and the Tories have had an intermittently disastrous 14 years in power. Apart from getting Brexit done, I personally thought Boris was terrible. Liz Truss was well-meaning with some great ideas, but in the end, another disaster. She didn't do her homework. It's my unfashionable view that Sunak has steadied the ship, and his underrated Windsor Framework Agreement has ended problems around the flow of goods between mainland Britain and Northern Ireland. And the return of power sharing in Northern Ireland this week is almost exclusively down to him. But running the country competently, quietly, bookishly may not be enough. And running the country is my greatest concern should Labour prevail. Now, to be positive about Starmer, he's not an extremist like Jeremy Corbyn. And the news that Labour will at least not increase corporation tax, possibly bring it down, means that they're serious about economic growth. They're also supporting the idea of no cap on bankers' bonuses. Now, bankers' bonuses are hard to justify ethically, but the reality is that wealthy, successful people generate national income and pay huge amounts of tax, which pays for the public services to which Labour, we are told, is committed. So Labour's noticeable shift to the right in recent days, including the decision to distance themselves from that crazy figure of £28 billion a year to bet the house on flaky renewables, is going to be reassuring to more conservative-minded voters, the kind of people that Tony Blair won over in 1997. But Tony Blair, Keir Starmer ain't. And Starmer's Labour is a lot redder than New Labour's light blue. During Magic Grandpa Jeremy Corbyn's disastrous stint leading this once great party, the whole movement was infiltrated by hard-left activists. The Labour backbenches were cleansed of moderate centrists. So who's to say figures like John McDonnell, Richard Bergen, Rebecca Long-Bailey and others won't reappear should Labour only win a slim majority? And it's just possible that those figures could hold the balance of power. Yikes! Love or hate Sir Keir's policy agenda, it will likely never happen if these rebellious backbenchers get their way. Now, if Starmer gets 100 seats or more, no problem. But a majority of 10 or 20 or 30? If that happens, I believe that this Labour Party in government is ungovernable. Starmer will be doing deals in smoke-filled rooms, vape smoke, for the whole of its premiership, which means chaos for the country and a shift to the left politically. May God help us. A handful of MPs will be able to lean on Starmer to borrow more money, spend more money and ditch business-friendly policies, for which this week they have rightly won plaudits. If Labour was led by a strong, principled figure, well, that might help. Tony Blair, for example, demonstrated a colossal political will. and no small amount of courage to modernise the Labour Party and win power 3 times over. I don't think you'll get that from the cervix-free leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer, who in my view is nothing more than a political algorithm, a human manifestation of ChatGPT software gone horribly wrong. And if there's a hung parliament with Labour as the biggest party, well, it's game over for everyone. Because every bit of legislation will need the approval of fringe figures like Diane Abbott. Let's hope she brings her calculator. The Tories have been a disaster in recent years, I'll give you that. I like Sunak, but the party, not so much. So perhaps it's time for a change, but my fear is that it's a change for the worst.